All right, everyone, welcome into Fandom Menace tonight for Monday, May 18th, 2020. It's 10:05 p.m., and it's time to start the first show of the week. So, let us hail the chat. Who do we have here? We have our friend Nerdigans Incorporated, Hail the Guy, Alexander the Great, Breadman Productions, Kenneth LaRock, Juan R., Andrew Cole. Also give a shout out to Aiden Hamilton, as well as the male Ray, and Philosopher Unknown, as well as, let's see, a lot of similar ones. And Hologram Nunchuck, as well as CWD Trixie, and Mist Ninja Julian, and Mr. V. Can't forget Mr. V. He's here all the time. So, folks, tonight's show, as you read the main header, it is a little bit about the Snyder Cut, the film that they keep teasing fans with, but for some reason, we're just never going to get. So, let's start talking about it, actually. Let me get the article pulled up, and we'll start talking right now. So, this information is coming over from FanWire, written by our good buddy Andy Signore, and let's hear what Andy has said about this piece of information. So, the Snyder Cut is now happening. Yay. We previously reported that Warner Brothers did not ever want to pursue or to release the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, aka the Snyder Cut. Well, our sources have now informed us that something has happened this week at Warner Brothers, prompting them to change their mind. While we're still being told that some did not want to cave into the fandom man, apparently someone high enough up the chain has changed course and agreed to #release the Snyder Cut. It's an important note that the story is still developing, but we take our reports and our sources very seriously and wanted to correct as soon as we heard this shift in the news. So, I think this is a dumb idea. And now I'm not here to bash on Justice League or Zack Snyder for an hour and change. No, I can do that any of the other days of the week with Dion and the other guys on the show. The reason I think this is an odd/bad choice is strictly because DC has gone in a new direction. They don't know what direction they're going in, but it's a new one. It's a different one. It's very bold. It's very brave. What they're doing right now is they're basically splintered off into three segments. We have the continuation of the old DCEU with Birds of Prey, which was a flop. We have a new direction confirmed with Matt Reeves' The Batman. And then we also have a film like Joker, which I think, this is a guess, I don't have any insider sources on this piece of information, but I guess that this has always been the plan to reboot the Batman universe without actually putting Batman as Batman in the film. And if you look at the timeline, it should work out that Robert Pattinson's Batman will be roughly the right age and the right time frame that they're setting the film to be Batman proper. I don't like the idea, but that's just a guess. So with the Justice League, the Snyder Cut coming soon, you got to wonder why. Why are they so fragmented? And I think the answer is just desperation / the streaming. See, streaming is such a powerful thing that everyone thinks is the future, and it is to a degree. But everyone thinks that you have to have the best original content on your platform to justify owning, or at least... See, how do you phrase what we do with streaming services? Do you rent the streaming service for the month? I don't own a streaming service, so I guess I just have a subscription. But at the end of that, when you reach a certain point, it's like, well, Warner Brothers streaming service on HBO Go. You have all this stuff, or HBO Max, excuse me, you have all these things that are interesting to me. But at the same time, it's like after I've watched X, Y, and Z enough times, why am I going to keep holding this? Why am I going to keep watching this? Why am I going to keep the subscription live? And the answer I have is I don't know. I don't know why, personally, outside of, this is going to get you a slight bump. We have to take into account, first off, that this is an unfinished film. This isn't just like Disney saying, oh, we're going to release the original cut of Star Wars. That just sits somewhere not being touched. This is a film that, at best, is half done. If not, let's say the film is completely shot. All the live-action stuff required is there. Okay, so do we want to see this film with subpar CGI, unfinished effects? I mean, in theory, the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 is the best cut of Superman 2. In execution, though, it's lacking a little bit. I mean, we're taking scenes from screen tests. We're using slightly low-end modern effects for 2006, putting them up against the best that 1980. Yeah, Superman was 1980. Superman 2. The best they could give you. So there's that disconnect right there. In today's world, where we expect films to look a certain way, especially at the superhero level. I mean, look, if the world lashed out at Henry Cavill's CGI'd over mustache, imagine what the hell you're going to get if you release the Justice League Snyder cut with unfinished effects and you have just a lesser than version. Now, you may say, well, the story is what I care about the most. Okay, that's fine. Then that, would wipe away some of that. But I think since film is such a visual medium, that this kind of film will live and die by the fact that it's incomplete. And I don't think that will help the DC brand at all, because right now the DC brand, it almost course corrected. It's like it wants to. It's that junkie that he wants to clean his life up. He wants to do better. You got him off the street, but he's still hanging around with those guys that are bad influences, those enablers. So with this DC stuff, it's like, well, we want to go in the right direction. We made a hugely profitable film with Joker. We're talking a $55 million reported budget. Then if you work your magic, let's say at the most it's $100 million to make that film. They bring back over $1 billion. Aquaman, another big hit. Shazam, not that big of a hit, but still well received. Oh, Shazam was a cheaper one?
It was really cheap to make. Yeah, if you look at the budget for that, it was like comparatively, because it came around the same time the Captain Marvel had a fraction of the budget. We didn't know if it cost
well, look,
$130 million to make.
Well, I'll look up the Shazam box office because, I liked that movie. I feel like it came and went, though, quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Twice,
It's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's available all over, and it cost $100 million to make. Yeah, shit. I just didn't know. I didn't know it was that cheap. It didn't feel small.
At all. That was the point I made when it came out, was how this is a movie that took it put its money in the right place. It didn't need to throw $500 million to make a good movie, a good grandiose superhero film that felt rich, that felt big, that felt complete and quality. But they spent more of that effort into telling the story.
You'll have to speak up because I don't think anyone can hear you if you're trying to.
Sorry. Let's say they didn't have to pour all that money into making something that big and grand, but it still felt full, it felt rich, it felt good, because they spent that effort instead, rather than just throwing money at more effects and spending more time in the studio, making an explosion look great. They spent that time into writing a good story and putting together a good group of characters that made it fun.
Well, you can't even, when you're talking about the DC storyline, you can't even put the Justice League as a story together. Shazam had all of its stuff shot. We're talking trying to make a movie out of nothing. And it's weird, too, when I think about it, because for some reason, some godforsaken reason, it's always the Justice League that can never get it done right. I mean, if we go back and we look at the old George Miller Justice League film that was about to enter production, that was so far along. It had all these ideas, all these things that it wanted to bring to the table. And then you pull it back to this modern day Justice League. And again, it had all these ideas that they wanted to bring to the table, all these new crazy things. And none of them really got off the ground. So it brings us back to why DC is broken the way it is because Marvel. Because Marvel's making all this damn money. Marvel's doing all of this, breaking all these records, breaking all this ground, becoming this huge corporate entity in terms of comic book filmmaking. And Warner Brothers sees, well, we have all the DC chips. We don't even have to license out characters. We don't have to deal with all this legality bullshit. We own the characters outright. And then they can't get it right because they're just trying to do what the other guys do. And it's like you go on social media. Your friend's got a boat, a house, a car, and this and that. And you're like, well, I don't. But then you also don't see all the stuff that your friend was doing to get that stuff. You're just looking at the reward. Or they might not even be his things. He may have rented the boat, borrowed the car, and visited his family and stayed at their house. So it's the illusion of success that blinded DC, that blinded Warner Brothers, that got them they basically fell into a trap that they need to be Marvel. So they got Joss Whedon involved. They got the jokes. They did all these things. They basically looked at how an alien, like Lucasfilm does with modern Star Wars. They look at the old Star Wars and go, why does this work? Explosion, special effects. It's really funny, guys. It's really funny. So they do that, and they move forward, and they bring us Justice League, which isn't even complete. It's I don't want to call it an outright broken film because I think it has some merit. I think it's more enjoyable than BVS. But this Snyder Cut stuff, it's nice to listen to fans. I'm all about, fan engagement, fan advocacy, all of this wonderful stuff. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's a film there. I don't think you can pull a film out of what's there. Some sources tell us no, some sources tell us yes. If anything, if they make this film moving forward, all I want to see is an actual complete film. I'll also be saddened, though, by what we've lost, what we will have lost. So, for example, the dark side stuff. Because there's no way DC is going to go back. Like, we still have Gal Gadot. I don't know about Ezra Miller's The Flash. And everyone else, Batfleck's out. Do you think they're really going to have a universe where they have two different Batman actors playing the role? No, because it'll cause confusion. Is this the Ben Affleck Batman or the Robert Pattinson Batman? Well, which one's skinnier? That's the Robert Pattinson Batman. Don't even get me started on that shit. Mr. I don't want to work out and set a precedent. You're a superhero, for God's sakes. What do you expect him to do? If I was out there fighting crime every night, I wouldn't look like I do now. I'd be, probably asleep because it's daylight still. But I digress. Yeah, I agree that people are, it's been so hyped that it can't meet demand. I'm with you. I want every superhero property, every comic book, every adaptation. I want everything to be awesome. I want it to be excellent. I want it to blow your socks off. I want to be entertained because at the end of the day, I am a fan. I enjoy these things myself. I paid my money to go into the theater and watch all these films, and I don't benefit when a movie sucks ass. Justice League being what it was, I was like, I've seen worse. It could have been better, but, or BVS shit in the bed. I didn't leave happy. I left angry. I leave angry at all these films when they're bad. I don't go in going, I hope this sucks so I can get YouTube clicks. No. Believe me, we actually made a video a couple years ago about, our thoughts on Justice League and how everyone was mad that we didn't rail on it. So I'm coming from this place of I want DC to succeed, but I also want DC to find its own identity. And I think they have, for the most part. Some of their bigger films, like an Aquaman, do feel like the product of an earlier time. And I think that's why it works. A more traditional love story, from multi-generational love story between, you had the mom and Tamara Morrison's character. I can't even think of Nicole Kidman's character in that movie. And then you had Mira and Aquaman get together. So I'm saying you had those different elements, which was cool. And it pretty much satisfied a lot of people's, I don't know what the right word is, basic instincts, like what you want out of a movie. You want excitement, you want scares, you want romance, all these things. It kind of, instead of trying to socially engineer a film like a Captain Marvel, where your main character is a lifeless husk, a fucking automaton, if you will, a human in name only, or a Hino. That's what Captain Marvel was. And I compare that to Aquaman because of the most, the closest in proximity to release. Aquaman was December of 2018, and Captain Marvel was March, International Women's Day of 2019. And Shazam was closer, wasn't it? But I meant Marvel versus DC.
What?
Those two, Marvel and DC, wasn't it?
Shazam's DC as well.
Yeah, but we play by Price is Right rules. Anything over doesn't count.
What?
If you go over, it doesn't count.
I'm confused.
Never mind. Anyway, I didn't leave Civil War mad. I left it very happy. Yes, Brie Larson is playing. Wednesday will be a day I eat my words. Is that a threat? I don't even know what's going on right now. Oh, this is some dickhead being a troll. We can take care of you real easy. Anyway, moving on. Let's see what the audience is saying right now. So first off, Casual Gamer, thank you very much for your super chat. He says, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions" is a proverb or aphorism. An alternative form of hell. Sorry, an alternative form is hell is full of good meanings, but heaven is full of good works. Something for Hollywood to think about. Yeah, I mean, the best of intentions do fall apart next to bad execution. And It is very ambitious to see what Zack Snyder had planned for the DCEU. I don't think he had it planned, but some of the stuff they wanted to do with Justice League was ambitious, talking about Darkseid and the Fourth World and possibly a 3-film structure and all this stuff. It's nice in theory, but the execution was absolute shit. I couldn't think of anything. After I left that movie, it just felt like, well, it's over, it's done with, and there's nothing left to do. They didn't really leave. They'll tell you they left strings open to, threads to close and all that stuff, but none of it felt right. He didn't. Yeah, 5-part movie. I don't know about if it would have worked in a 5-part movie. Here's the thing, folks. Let's stop trying to set up 20 films in a franchise. Let's just get one done. Let's just get one film done. The Amazing Spider-Man, those 2 films fell victim to that. All they wanted to do was build up, hey guys, we're going to have X, Y, and Z. We're going to have the Vulture. We're going to have Doc Ock. We're going to have them all be byproducts of Oscorp, and Spider-Man's going to be taking on the system all at Oscorp, and the Sinister Six, and guess what? It never happened. There's never been a Sinister Six film. There never will be a Sinister Six film. They're going to keep trying to tease it, but the thing is, it's Sony's fault. It's even Marvel's fault, too, because we're always going to be jumping from one thing to the next with the Marvel brand, because we don't have an anchor anymore with Iron Man. The reason Marvel always worked is you could go light years away for all this stuff. Guardians, you could go to here, you could go to Captain America, you could go to all these different characters, all these different places, all these different times and dimensions, like with Doctor Strange. But in the real world, you always had Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., and the Avengers to anchor that, because you knew no matter how far it goes, it's all coming back. It's tying back to this one thing. Their messaging was very well done. They had incredible branding and power in that with that film. We don't have that anymore. So 1 minute, Spider-Man's going to be our guy. He's going to be our key to the universe. Then it's going to be Captain Marvel, and Spider-Man's going to be a sidekick. And they have all these other plans, and what's going to happen with Spider-Man is Marvel is going to use up their contractual obligations for dumb shit. They're going to use him as a buffer to set up other characters so they can hope that people will come back and see Captain Marvel 2 tag teaming with Spider-Man. These other things, these other these uses of that character are kind of dumb, because instead of actually ever getting the character off of the ground, he's perpetually a boy. He's always in the same part in his life. It's like Spider-Man is the equivalent of a dead end job. You go in at night, you leave in the morning, and before you know it, 30 years of your life has passed by, and your kids are moved away, and your wife doesn't really love you that much. That's what Spider-Man is. He's a big thing of missed opportunities. Could have been more, should have been more, but we never got there, because we never laid the groundwork. And that's what Zack Snyder failed to do. He never laid the groundwork properly. I get it. Oh, edgy Superman's so cool. It's not that cool. Watch our next video when we talk about how sometimes tradition is the best thing. But with all the Snyder talk, it'll be nice if people can get it. Apparently the fan base is fucking hard to deal with online. I don't know. I don't deal with it. I don't sit and go, oh, I hate the Snyder Cut, or oh, I want the Snyder Cut. You know why we're talking about it? Because it just came out as a pop culture channel. If the Snyder Cut comes out, we'll watch it. We'll see how it is. Can it be, it's not what, see, Justice League isn't one of those films where I go, it's got to be better. No, it's, believe me, there are places to go with the Justice League besides up. Down is a very strong possibility. I think the film fell victim to, outside of its Marvel desires, marvelous desires, really it just fell victim to trying to be more than it really was. I think society has accepted the superhero film. We're very happy with it. We like it. But the superhero film, or the comic book film, which is a bigger phrase, bigger category, it's also not trying to be high art at that scale. If you're looking at a superhero film or a comic book film that's considered high art, and high art would be like an Oscar-nominated film, you look at something like Joker, but also look how small it is. It's nice to want to have these themes and ideas and ideals in these superhero films. You're supposed to look up at them and want to be like them. But that's where Marvel and DC have always differed, is you look up to the DC characters, you can relate to the Marvel characters. And that really has been prevalent on film. You can relate to the stuff that Iron Man goes through with his, the identity of his parents, Oh, you killed my mom. But notice how he doesn't even mention his dad getting killed and all this other stuff. So you learn little bits of information about each character, their background, their motivations, and then you watch BVS. It's like Martha, and there's no nuance. It's just save Martha. What? And it takes you out of the movie. You chuckle. It's like performance surgery with a butter knife. Yeah, you can cut the skin, but there are better tools and a more effective way to get it done. Mark C, thank you very much. He says, according to Junkie XL and to Zack Snyder, the film was at 90%. Oh, well, still, that's 10% of incomplete film. And in a perfect world, I'd rather watch a complete film that doesn't go anywhere. I'm not going to all of a sudden forgive the presentation of this film if it's 90% done. It starts setting up these threads for all these wonderful things, because we have to realize that those wonderful things aren't coming. There's not going to be anything else with this film, so that sucks.
Well, which 90% is done though? Because...
Well, Junkie XL is the composer, so.
I mean, because 90% the story can be done. It's just pickups here and there, important scene here and there.
Yeah, I still don't think, like, if they're going to release it as is and they're not going to throw any more money at it, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
But that's it. Let's see. So let's see what you guys are saying about this topic today. Let's see. Wednesday can come and go and ain't shit going to happen. So, yeah, see, I like the idea of Batman Beyond. Superman isn't really this character that you can mold and try to modernize. He's like a Captain America. He's supposed to be kind of altruistic, red, white, and blue, truth, justice, and the American way. I'm tired of them cutting that out of the Superman mantra because they want to appeal to a more international demographic. Tough shit. That's what Superman represents. He's from Kansas, as they say in the movie. So even there, they're not, you're not going to get these world values. You're going to get very middle America created in 1930s Ohio values.
Back when the American way was a positive thing and not super controversial.
So I'm just reading the chat. Apparently all these people that are obsessing over the Zack Snyder stuff are in the chat. Yeah, See, I sat through the ultimate cut of BVS. We actually did a commentary for it here on the channel. Doesn't make it better. Ultimate releases, director's cuts, all this stuff. Not every time does it turn out well. I'm trying to think of a good direct. I mean, you can go the Blade Runner route for some people. You can go the Lord of the Rings route for some people if you want extended cuts that actually add to the film that people like. But when I got to the BVS extended cut, to me it was just... There was an actual extended scene of a guy walking up a flight of stairs. That's not an exaggeration. That wasn't, and that's not me trying to be funny. That was just straight up. There was an extra scene added in of, that. And I thought to myself, that was necessary. That is why we have the extended cut of this film. And I'm happier for it. Said no one ever. It's kind of hard, trying to talk about this specific topic as civilly as some people would like, because you always go by what these companies have delivered. And I'll put it like this. The Marvel brand, up until Captain Marvel, was a beautiful plate of food. And everything looked appetizing, and maybe you're a little full of this and that, but you moved on to something else that kept you interested. Then they kind of took a chip out of the plate with Captain Marvel. But that's okay. You put a big old helping of your favorite food on top of that little chipped area, and the plate was beautiful again. But now the plate is empty, and you notice there are some cracks in it. And if you move the plate too much, it'll fall apart. Right now, if you place the plate on the ground, it looks whole and complete, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have this essentially untouched, unblemished thing. There's a little note here, but you're going to look past it. And then you try to take that said broken plate or that fractured plate, and you're going to start putting stuff on top of it. And it's going to break, and it's going to fall apart. The food's going to hit the ground. There's going to be shards of ceramic everywhere. And the point I'm trying to make is you can't really put anything more on the MCU. It's pretty much has reached its max point. There's nothing else to do with it. And everyone's going to say, but there's these 10 projects in the pipeline. That doesn't mean they're good. There's all these Star Wars projects in the pipeline. That in itself is a problem too. We can list off as many Star Wars shows that got canceled as there are in production now. I mean, at one point there were 9 Star Wars films in production supposed to come out by 2021. When we get to 2021, we'll find out, just like we will on Wednesday, apparently, from whatever is going to happen. And so when I see the Ahsoka show and the Obi-Wan show and the Cassian Andor show and the Boba Fett spinoff and all these other things, when I see these, then I will begin to go, oh, okay, these people weren't exactly full of it. And the same thing with the DC stuff. When I see a direction, when I see them present a plan that's actually they're going to stick with it. Because that's another problem they've had. They don't stick with any of their plans. They're not like, well, if this movie underperforms, we're just going to still move ahead with this. It's like, no, we're going to move with whatever the trend is. We're going to go with whatever is popular. We're going to hold on out of desperation to the one thing that actually works. And it's sad, too, because they are the comic book publisher with the bigger library of bigger back catalog, I believe. They've been around longer as DC proper, because Marvel didn't become Marvel until the 60s. They were Timely Comics. And before that, I think they were an international. DC was international. Anyway, point is, they had different names through different times, and DC should, in theory, be the strongest one, but it's not. Breadman Productions, thank you very much. He says, I'd like the Snyder Cut to be released in honor of Zack's daughter, Autumn. The film was originally dedicated to her, but Joss cut it out. I didn't know that part. I personally refuse to make any comments about the film sucking because of his life, his life issues. I almost said life choices. Those were not his life choices. But no, I look at the film separately from that. It's a very tragic thing. I do feel for Zack Snyder. Nobody wants to have lost a child, especially under those circumstances. And if you want to do that, fine. But maybe Zack Snyder should just dedicate his next film to his deceased daughter, because that way that in memoriam thing can live on in its own way. It can be a part of a film that Zack Snyder had creative input on. Maybe certain things were inspired by her. You get my gist. I think putting an in memory of her name on the Justice League is just one more thing, unless this was a project she was personally involved with. I don't know. But I don't also like the idea of Joss Whedon cutting it out because of reasons. I mean, if Zack Snyder's still going to get the directing credit, which I believe he does for the film, then he should still have the right to have that on there. I don't like that. I didn't know about that until right now. And yes, Alex, I agree. Marvel should have taken a break post Endgame. This just, in many ways, they have. We had Spider-Man come out, and Spider-Man came and went, because they really missed an opportunity by delving into what happened to the world when half the heroes and half the population disappeared. We just jump right back in like everything's normal. The most unique scenario they could ever accidentally or intentionally put themselves into has been squandered. There will never again be an opportunity where they can go, the whole world has been affected by this event. The bad guy won. What are we going to do? Because if the bad guy ever wins again, it's just going to be like, well, Thanos was better. So you're going to have to come up with a bigger, crazier threat. And I don't know if bigger, crazier threat is realistically on the table for the MCU. I mean, you got a guy that can snap you out of existence and can time travel and is invincible and can walk through a cloud of smoke and take you anywhere in the galaxy. How do you top the Infinity Gauntlet for MacGuffin, or for the Infinity Stones as MacGuffin? I mean, you low-key, no pun intended, built up this gem quest throughout these films. You low-key built up this domination of Thanos. You did everything right, and then you're done. There's just no more. You left on top. I think everybody would like to leave on top. Hell, every pro wrestler ever would like to have left on top. But they count the lights. They look up at the lights, they take the 3 count, and they just move on to the next thing. So, DC, this is, I could have called the show the DC, RIP DC stream. Is it though? I don't think so. I mean, they got their new shows like Stargirl, which looks stupid, Supergirl, and all this other stuff that they're putting out there doesn't look interesting. I mean, when I sit down, if you said, Jeff, name something exciting you're looking forward to from the superhero genre, I don't necessarily click on something that looks like this. Stargirl. The Justice Society. It's funny how a website like Screen Rant will try to tell you, oh, these Justice Society of America Easter eggs and how they're so big and all this and all that. Like I always say, folks, when everything is good, nothing is. They treat every Easter egg, every little detail like it's this big thing like they're these big, giant fans of. And I would argue that 90% of the people that go to Screen Rant have not read a Justice Society of America comic book, nor do they even know what the Justice Society is. They'll know the Justice League, they'll know the branding, they'll know the movie, they'll know the show. But Justice Society, I don't think it doesn't flow off the tongue as well as Justice League. Thank you. I think it was Julie Schwartz and his love of baseball is why it's called the Justice League. And then you have, this made-for-TV crap. Like right here, Wildcat. Is this actually from the show? Because this is a bad Photoshop job. Our Man, that's Alex. I think it's Alex Ross painting, so it's a little different. But anyway, my point is, DC, do better. I would like that stuff. I knew you could do Galactus and the Beyonder. That's great. But if you do Galactus, you need to set up. How many years removed are you from Galactus? Well, first off, you have to establish the Fantastic Four. Do you do the time travel theory? Not time travel. Do you do the one where they're from the 60s but trapped in a time loop or trapped in a black hole? Or just simply went off on an adventure and miscalculated the return time and they come back to modern day? Because if you do modern Fantastic Four, you get Fan Stick, you get your Josh Tranks, you get all your stuff. You get more of what didn't work. When you try to modernize that family dynamic with modern feminism and all these other things that permeate the internet, but not necessarily good storytelling. And then you also have to question, okay, so this has to be a galaxy, universe, a whole MCU-wide event. So you have to tie all these characters again together. And you think, well, you could get these other characters that they had. That's true, but you also have to look at their marketability, their power sets, all these other things, why they are where they are in the world. Why is Tony Stark why is he at the forefront of the Avengers? Because he's got the most money and the most resources, and he's smart. And I use his intelligence is a resource. Captain America also has the tactical skill X, Y, and Z. That's why he leads too, but he's also this, mythical superhero. So if you have all these wonderful things, look at just because the Thanos story ends and these superheroes are still working, why would you in the world? Why would you go elsewhere just to get other recognizable heroes that aren't as powerful? You got to look at it from the world perspective. So you have that too, and it's like, oh, Galactus is coming. Well, that includes the Silver Surfer. Okay, and the Watcher. Okay, we've seen the Watcher. So you get all these elements, but what is this big arcing story that you're going to tell? I hate to say it, the Galactus trilogy is an awesome series of comic books. It's not going to be a trilogy's worth of films. It just wouldn't work because Marvel hasn't set itself up that way. Then you go to Beyonder. Okay, you want to do Secret Wars. Fine. Now, if you're of an age like me, you probably want the Spider-Man animated series version, which is okay. It was cool back then, but watching it now, it sucks. But again, you have to introduce the Fantastic Four. You have to introduce a lot of these Marvel villains that don't exist in the MCU. And so if you're building that up just for them to meet and fight on the other world or Elseworld or whatever it's called, Beyonder World planet, and that's it. Like it's going to be like the end of Endgame, where they just fight in a bunch of like a mountainous area, because the alien life forms on that planet weren't really that alien. It was a big rock they fought on, and they had these buildings, and they had all this, futuristic technology. I don't think it sounds like a very interesting dynamic of that. And then, if you do the X-Men, you need to start at not necessarily the beginning, but you need to find a good start point for the X-Men, and you have to move forward. So Kang would be cool. You could do time travel stuff. We've already seen time travel with Ant-Man. We've also seen with, obviously, Endgame. I don't like the Avengers time travel. I don't like how Marvel does time travel. So could it work? Obviously, it could work. It doesn't matter if I like it. If it's successful is, one other thing. But Joey Bryant, what's up, my friend? He says, X people. I'll stay with X-Men. I'll be the sexist. Anyway, thank you, Joey Bryant. He says, after seeing Stargirl's trailer, I was getting a slight, strong presence of Batwoman. Or am I the only one? Put down the patriarchy with the power of plot armor. Plot armor is a powerful tool that a lot of people refuse to acknowledge is as powerful as it is. Excuse me. I look at shows like Stargirl and what is that, Heroes of Tomorrow, and all these shows as the Dawson's Creek equivalent of superhero stuff. Yes, they're on the CW, but they're all light and drama-y, and they're not really. I hate to use the phrase, but they're not as big or not big enough to justify me getting emotionally invested in, because it's just like the day-to-day pedantic shit, and it's fine. But it also is unfair to them because you hold them to that same standard, or at least I do. Now, I've never watched Batwoman on principle. I haven't made any videos on it either, I don't believe, because there's nothing to say about it. It looks like a dumb show. I don't like the concept of it. Legacy characters never really do it for me. Maybe She-Hulk to some degree. War Machine, I don't know if I'd consider him a legacy character. Well, he's not. But I don't even know if legacy is the right phrase. These derivative characters are the ones that I'm not a fan of. You know, there's Spider-Man. I don't need Spider-Girl, Spider-Gwen, Miles Morales, Spider-Punk, all these. I hate the derivative characters. And so Batwoman is just a derivative character of Batman. What does she add or what does she bring? She's got a black suit, bat motif, fights similar villains. She might be in Gotham. Don't watch the show. I don't know. So my point is, all this stuff, no thank you. And the Stargirl trailer, I wasn't going to watch that. I don't watch shows about teenagers with attitudes. It's not Power Rangers anymore. I'm past that stage in my life. But AZ has plenty of videos about Batwoman. Yeah, you can put all the I think Etep Okoyen does them. Jesse ever cover Batwoman?
Oh yeah.
Jesse on Mindless Entertainment covers Batwoman.
Not
recently, but yeah. There's just a lot of bad press with that show too. I've never really watched, like from the outside, I've never really watched a show try to self-destruct so quickly. And also, I wish the people that champion these shows would just turn it down a smidge, if you will. They're up at 11. Bring it back down to about a 3, because I barely want to hear you. But my point I want to make is the people that champion these things, their voices are so loud with these strong opinions, and they just turn people off. Maybe if you could introduce a show that's like, hey, you like this, you'll like this too, instead of saying it's about strong empowerment, blah, blah, blah.
Also, where are these people on the show for that? Are they even watching? Do they watch it all?
No.
Where's their championing attitudes then?
Nobody's watching the damn show. That's the thing. I think it'll stay on the air out of principle. But you talk about how they lose 250,000 viewers on these episodes in a row, all this stuff. There's just no reason to even get behind it anymore. And I see Tom from Midnight's Edge After Dark. What's up? He says bad show equals bad press. I agree. By the way, since Tom is here, folks, tomorrow night there will not be a High Council. And you're thinking, why? I love the High Council. Guess what? We love it too, and we love you so much that we're giving you a massive High Council. Now, Tom's in the chat. He can correct me. But we have a European edition of the High Council this Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific. And you're like, what a terrible time, Jeff. Why? Why then? Well, because of our guests. They need some accommodations. So first off, we have our friend Mahler. Mahler will be here. Then we have, I believe, I've just lost his name. So we have the Critical Drinker. We also have Tom. Who else do we got? Who?
Andre.
We also have Andre from Midnight's Edge proper. So the cool, sophisticated voice you hear on all the Midnight's Edge videos, he'll be here as well. And then we have one more. Who did he say it was? Because I believe we had one more confirmation, and this was a big one as well. And where are we at? We have AZ, heel versus babyface. So we have a super awesome show, the High Council International Edition. It'll be Tom, myself, and our international guests. And yeah, here we go, right here on the chat. It's going to be hard to focus, but this is the show that you guys want. And like I said, we love to do things for the audience. We love to put out the content, everything. But sometimes if we want a special guest, we have to accommodate them. So luckily, all those gentlemen have agreed to appear on the show. And I want to thank Tom for making that happen. And that's going to be our super stream. So a lot of people are getting excited for it. Like I said, there's not a High Council tomorrow, and I don't know how the Thursday podcast is going to work yet, depending on the time. because I don't know if I want to. Let's say the International High Council goes on for, let's just say 4 hours. Okay, that's fine. And then people want to catch up on the replay. I don't know if there's going to be as much demand for the podcast proper. We'll figure it out, but we're going to make sure that you guys, everyone knows what's up. It's going to be an awesome show. I can't wait to have to do the show on Thursday again, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, International High Council, and it's going to be so awesome. So, like I said, tomorrow night, no show. Don't be on the lookout. Don't ask. I'm telling you guys now. I don't know the Casual Gamer. I don't think they make shows to launder money, but that'd be an interesting theory. You know what? I'm going to write that down. That could be a fun idea, just something to think about. Where did I go? Right there. The chat is actually moving quick. At the one time I wanted to take a picture. There we go. Thank you very much, Casual Gamer. Ugh. So I had one of those weekends where I got enough sleep and I also got up really early every day, but today has just been a day that hit me hard. So if I sound a little meh, folks, I'm happy to be here. I'm excited, just kind of burnt out. It's funny. It's Monday. I've been up since whenever, working on videos, getting stuff prepared for other big projects, and we finally rolled around to time to go live, and I was just like, ugh. So I don't know if this stream is going to be super, super long tonight. I got to get prepared. I got to, keep drinking water and staying hydrated and all this other fun stuff. You know what it means to be human/adult. I don't adult that well. But
Be on my show after.
But I'll be on Jesse's show, and on Jesse's show, we're going to be playing Cards Against Humanity, and guess what? You guys can play too. Tell them how, Jesse.
All right, so you're going to join in on my stream. When we get the game started, we are going to post the link for all you guys in the chat. And you can have up to 50 players in this game. So we are going to try. We're going to see the kind of madness that ensues if we try to play a 50-card round. If it works, we'll play until the same person wins twice, because your bar is really low when there's 50 fucking people playing. We can also reset and have a smaller number. We'll see if we get a good solid game going with just a handful of people, play to a low winner, and rotate you guys around.
I don't. People are like, make your Thursday stream 12 hours long, please.
Yeah,
Well, straight
from the morning through the.
I'll put it like this: if this International High Council goes so long,
Yeah.
I'll just be like, guys, I'm not even going to end the stream. I'm just sending you the link. We'll fuse or usher the other guys out, and we'll start with our podcast proper. And then I'll just sleep all fucking weekend. And let's see. By the way, to Jason, having a beer with bullshit from New Orleans. Jason, maybe one day we'll all be back in New Orleans together. That's the bullshitter's favorite city. And we'll all go grab copious amounts of beer. I think there's a rule. It might be written somewhere in your city's charter, but I can't be sober in New Orleans, so neither can you. I don't think any of the guys. That's my favorite Dion story where he just got lost. Where were you? I don't know. Tom, don't pour Jeff anything. I'm happy. I'm just glad that we have the audience that wants the content. So, like I said, sleep is like they say in was it Tomorrow? Not Tomorrow Never Dies. Die Another Day. I'll sleep when I'm dead. There we go. Gustav Graves style. That's true. Instead of episode 220, release the 5 hour. 5 hours of the High Council. That's what I was thinking about doing, honestly. If that show just went long, consider that this week's show, and then do after hours and stuff for Patreon. That'd be it'd be fun. Like I said, folks, I'm a little spacey today. I'm just really tired. I don't want to seem disinterested, because I've noticed too on YouTube, if you do a couple episodes where people are like, "Oh, he doesn't like this. Why do I listen?" I love it. Like I said, I'm just a person, and been dealing with some not bad stuff, just a lot of exciting things. Been making some changes behind the scenes on the channel, and working hard. Jesse knows what's up because she lives here, so she kind of knows all the secrets.
I do. I watch him do all his hard work while I do nothing. It's great.
Well, now Hammond of Texas. I caught that at the very end. Hammond of Texas. Some of the topics are going to be, it's the High Council, so it will be Star Wars related. It's not always strictly Star Wars. I gave Mahler a brief idea of what we'd cover, but all these gentlemen also have talk about what they want to talk about. If it's pop culture related, if it's on this channel, it's welcome. So that's how I operate. Well, God damn it, Tom, I'm laughing myself. Fuck it. Since this stream's kind of whatever off the rails, I'm just going to talk about what you guys are talking about and have some fun with the stream. Screw it. So I saw somebody in the chat. Chris wanted to talk about the Dark Phoenix. He wants to see a good Dark Phoenix film. Chris, I'm all about that. See, I'm in a weird place with the X-Men. I want an awesome traditional X-Men film. I also want modern X-Men, but I also want this all at the same time. So you know what I really would like to see is you pick and choose your prime X-Men team, an X-Men Blue or an X-Men Gold situation, where you do what they did on basically just take the cartoon and make it live action. Where you get the best X-Men and you put them through some iconic storylines. You can set them up for the Dark Phoenix to where instead of even hinting at any kind of Phoenix powers, you just have Jean Grey there and have her go on missions and be a part of the team. The Dark Phoenix is my favorite X-Men story, hands down. Love it. But it's like a 2-year story, and there's more than just one film in there. If anything, you can do a Dark Phoenix trilogy, but do it like have the vision to do this shit years down the road. Get people locked in place, get things worked out, and just stick with it. Because you can make the X-Men your next MCU if you're smart, Disney. That's what their endgame plan should be, no pun intended. They do this huge thing, and then you do a House of M moment at the end. That could be your endgame replacement, and you do this crazy new Elseworld. But I mean, the X-Men has such a rich catalog of characters. There's no honest reason why you couldn't do it. I mean, really, give me an honest answer of why it wouldn't work. Yeah, you can't just condense it, Kelvin. You're right. It's honestly, because I mean, what part are you going to condense? They never do the cool. My favorite part is, well, not my favorite part, but when the Shi'ar come in and they go off world and do, they fight elsewhere. They never do that on film. What did they do in this last movie? They fought in New York City.
That I think is what the Marvel, the MCU did so brilliantly with its first few phases that I think it was such a delicate balance when you're adapting these comic book characters and these comic book stories with these like multiple plot lines and rich histories and rich backgrounds. Generally speaking, I think people usually try to do too much. They try to pack too much story into one movie, too much background into one character, too many elements all at once. And even with DC, like they were trying to play catch up, like, oh, let's build to the Justice League in like 2 movies. What was the gap between Iron Man and our first Avengers movie?
4 years.
4 years. It was 4 years to the first time where we put these guys in the same room. And it felt like Justice League was even trying to be more of an Infinity War. Of like, let's get them all together, let's tackle the bad guy. You're like skipping, a decade nearly of build-up, basically. And I think that's what Marvel did so well, which is the opposite of these properties that are trying to set you up for, 8 sequels and whatnot without getting the first one right. And it's the opposite of these properties trying to pack all of that stuff into one movie because they're afraid they won't get sequels, which is you trust that the blueprint is there. We've adapted the blueprint. Here's A, here's B. We know for roughly how we're going to get there. There might be some shortcuts and detours. We have that, but each stop along the way still has to be great. And I think that a lot of filmmakers just don't have the patience to say, let's make one good movie that stands on its own. It's a complete picture, but it's still just one piece of the puzzle. And have the discipline to say, let's take it one piece at a time. And if this piece doesn't work out, let's course correct. Rather than freak out and tank the whole thing, or freak out and do crazy course corrections and just make everything ridiculous. So I think it's not easy to do because you're walking that tightrope. But Marvel demonstrated, one time that they had the patience to do it. Now, whether they're willing to sort of level, because I think you really need to level the earth.
Yeah.
You got to start on a tabula rasa with the X-Men right now.
And by the way, folks, I misspoke. They fought on a train. That was the climax of the film, not New York City. Dark Phoenix.
I never saw it.
When you were watching something next to me, I had it on. Out of curiosity, I had to watch it. Our friend 007 Cloud says, anyone brought up Spidey 2.1 as a good extended cut? It's a great extended cut. It's also like, I think, was it 7 minutes longer or some small amount of time? And those changes, since I've seen Spider-Man 2 so many times, the changes from 2 to 2.1 are so small, and I prefer 2.1 over 2. But they've also gone back in. I believe 2.1 was a situation where the movie was just edited down, and they just put shit back in that they edited out. They didn't restructure the whole Spider-Man 2.1 film like they did with 3.1. I can't believe we're talking about decimal point versions of films anymore. It's like stupid math. But yeah, I'm down with Spider-Man 2.1. I think it's a very good and necessary extended cut. Notice only the first Spider-Man film doesn't have an extended cut. They released like a Spider-Man deluxe DVD later. It's the same DVD with just a bonus disc in a separate packaging. So, but yeah, 007 Cloud, I like it. It's not like you're, was it 20 extra minutes or 30 extra minutes of footage? It's, not always more is better. You had the Watchmen director's cut, and the only reason I own the director's cut of Watchmen is because you couldn't get the regular cut on Blu-ray. You could get it on DVD. Blu-ray was extended, and then there's directors, and then there's like the ultimate cut, which includes all the Tales from the Black Freighter stuff, and that's awesome. But to me, that's not a sit down and watch this movie type of experience. It's a how much and how accurately can we adapt. Wow, I couldn't even think of his name for a second. Alan Moore. I almost called him Adam Kubert. That is a different guy in the comic book field. But how much can you adapt on screen? And I think Watchmen's a good example, but it also shows that Zack Snyder is really only good with adapting things and not really introducing too many thought-provoking new ideas. A lot of that stuff, I'd say all of it really, and Watchmen was there on the page. When you get to your BVS and you try to talk about philosophy and greater, deeper issues with your superheroes, Zack Snyder just kind of falls apart. So, Blue Wang, that's enough. That was enough in the movie. I didn't need any more. No more of that. But yeah, oh god, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, the extended cut. I don't like that movie. I know a lot of people go, "How do you not like it?" I don't. I think 2's good. I think 4 is good, and that's really about it for original Star Trek films. I can sit through 1. It's not enjoyable. I can sit through it.
Isn't it supposed to be the evens that are good?
Yeah, the evens are good. The odds aren't. Now, I've never seen Star Trek 5. Or is there even a 6th one? But I've never seen like the Undiscovered Country. I don't know what that one is. So I just leave a lot of Star Trek out of my viewing repertoire. The Superman Richard Donner cut. Yeah, but that's like I said earlier, frack off Fargle Carb or Fraggle Carb. They even have a disclaimer at the beginning of a movie. If I'm going to get an extended version, I kind of want it like Spider-Man 2.1 to bounce off 007 Cloud. The only difference in the beginning is like it says Spider-Man 2.1 in the credits, and then it's a full movie. It doesn't stop to say, hey, look, here's a deleted scene. I hate that when a movie it's very noticeable when it jumps to like, oh, we don't have the necessary assets, so we went back. Like Mallrats. Mallrats did this. There's a 10th anniversary cut of Mallrats that will use unfinished footage and replace finished footage. It just takes me out of the movie. So I don't know. You got to find a really good way to make that work. Yes, The Wrath of Khan is awesome. Top dog for Star Trek. What a great movie. Even when they put that earwig thing in Chekhov's ear, I always kind of cringe a little bit. I just did now. My shoulder. Ooh, I'm not into that. I guess I do need to see the 6th Star Trek. It seems like a lot of people in the chat are telling me how good it is. So, I don't know if anyone out there had heard the news, because it's kind of a light week for news. That's why we're producing more content and stuff like that. But news itself is a little slow. But this Scream 5 stuff, I just want to put this out there. It seems like the worst idea possible. I mean, they hired back David Arquette, and he's a part of the crew, so I guess that's good for him. But I've never seen a more, I don't know how to say it. It's just such an unnecessary film. I guess, Jesse, can you think of a more unnecessary film than Scream 5?
Sequel to The Rise of Skywalker.
A sequel to The Rise of Skywalker would do it for you? Yeah. Folks in the chat, let me know of some really unnecessary films in a franchise. Because I want to know what you guys think. I'm drawing a blank today, like I said.
A Matrix.
Matrix movie. You mean, well, yeah, that's coming out. Matrix 4 comes out next year, right? Oh, here's an interesting story. Bill and Ted 3 may not get a theatrical release.
No.
Which is sad, because I was hoping that Bill and Ted... See, Bill and Ted, to me, represents how you do a franchise right. If you're going to dust it off and you're going to bring it back almost, or maybe in this case, over 30 years. When did Bill and Ted 2 come out? Is that 90 or 91? Let me look that up. So anyway, Bill and Ted's, let's see, Bogus Journey was from 1991. Okay, so 29 years removed. Excuse me. But how do you get an old franchise back? Well, you do it, if you're the rights holder, you do it slowly. So you bring out some Bill and Ted shirts or some Funko Pops or a new release. You sprinkle a little bit of word on the trades, like, hey, there's a new Bill and Ted possibly coming. You get Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter excited. They talk about it a little publicly. And then you build and you build and you build. And I thought Bill and Ted's Face the Music would have been the film that showed that an old IP can come back on a less than Star Wars scale and really hit it out of the park. I deep down was hoping that Bill and Ted Face the Music would have, done, 100 million, 200 million at the theater. We would have got some cool Bill and Ted merch, and we would have all just kind of been like, cool. And then you would have had a few other films try to come out and do the same thing. I fully expected a Wayne's World 3 to come out, as well as just other 90s properties. Just get another film, probably another Austin Powers, all these things. Now, you're thinking, Jeff, you don't want remakes and sequels and all this stuff. To a degree, but also with Bill and Ted, there's more story to tell. To me, a Bill and Ted sequel is like a James Bond sequel. It's not necessarily a sequel of what came before, but a further adventure in the life and times of Bill S. Preston and Ted Theodore Logan. And now, that being out of the, not coming out, it saddens me. I know we got the beer bug and all these other things to blame, but 2020 has been a year that has just sucked on every front. Entertainment, political, maybe personal, my life's fine. It's the same. I can't go out. I can't do certain things. But overall, 2020 has been a shit year. So, it's about their daughters. You know what, though? I thought they had sons. So maybe there was going to be a little issue with that. Wayne's World 3 about Wayne and Garth's kids. Yeah, see, I had my own idea for a Wayne's World 3, and it was nothing to do about Garth's and Wayne and Garth's children. Mine would have been that Wayne and Garth would have broken up somewhere in the late 90s to early 2000s. Cassandra and Wayne would have stayed together because her music career would have fizzled out, and Garth would have went on to become like a rich internet guy. Like an Elon Musk or something like that, something along those lines. And basically, they would reunite and do Wayne's World, but put it on a digital front. So the whole story would be about not even necessarily an allegory, but we'll choose the phrase allegory. It'll be about the whatchamacallit, how you adapt old media for new digital media, and it could be a story about that in the veil of Wayne and Garth trying to get acclimated with modern society. It could be fun. It'll never happen. That's the idea I had for it. But, yeah. I'm seeing more people talk about any Alien movie after the third. I would say the second one. Terminator 2. Yeah. Wayne becomes a YouTuber. That's the whole point, Rob. See, the whole movie would be about Wayne becoming a YouTuber and how it's so different and how the generational gap and divide. It'd be a lot of fun.
Oh my god, but Cassandra's subplot point can be like her music career fizzled out, but she's at the point where like there's a demand for her to do the like reunion tour kind of thing.
Yeah.
Revival tours.
I would love that. A Crucial Taunt revival tour and Wayne and Garth or something.
It could be that revival tour that gets Wayne thinking about his good old like Wayne's World days and wanted to be relevant again and all that. And
I feel like
to Garth to be like, you're the one who knows how to do this, let's do this. But Garth's like way too cool for it now. He's like, oh, I gotta play that dweeb again.
Yeah, Garth has to become like an Elon Musk, where he's just too cool for school, dating the models and all this shit. Because
he should have like women eating out of his. He should be like the suavest guy. Now.
Yes, and Wayne should have lost his hair for the most part, but he should be able to have when he puts the hat on, he should look like he used to.
So he'll be like Joe Exotic.
Pretty much like Joe Exotic, but when you put the hat on, he's back to normal. Yeah, the bald spot's covered and everything's cool. God, and Garth should have like some really like majestic blonde hair and like not teased out, and he looks different the whole movie. And then at the end, he like puts on the glasses and shakes his hair, like that old trope of the women. He does the thing and he goes like, and he looks like Garth again. How great would that be? That'd be a fun movie.
That would be a lot of fun.
It's funny how Frackoff says Garth had Donna Dixon. You know, it's funny. Dan Aykroyd got her in real life. So you were like, Dan Aykroyd's such a dweeby looking guy. He was like the hot wife. So
It's true.
yeah, sorry about that though, folks. That was my fan booking of Wayne's World 3 Crucial Taunt Revival World Tour. Chuzilla, I forgot to read yours. I'm sorry, they came out of order on the screen. Chuzilla says Spider-Ham ? If you're talking about the offshoot characters of Spider-Man, I guess Spider-Man's one I have a softer stance on because of his appearance in Into the Spider-Verse. I like that part. I don't like the comic idea of Peter Porker.
But I also think that like that was such a fun trope in Into the Spider-Verse, and why it works for Spider-Man is even as you yourself said about like what Stan Lee would say about him wearing the mask. He always has been this every man, could be any guy.
Mm-hmm.
So to make him that in his stories, literally he's anybody, kind of works better than if you want to be like, this random distant relation of Bruce Wayne stumbled into the Batcave and is now Batwoman.
Yeah, I'm not about that either. Our friend Matt G sends in a super sticker. Matt G, thank you very, very much for your super sticker. Just waiting for this thing to load, and I will, tell you about it. But that would be that's my dream one. Today they did announce that Beverly Hills Cop has fallen back into like relevancy because Bad Boys 3 was such a big hit. So
also try to make another one of those.
Oh, they are. It's coming out. It's a Netflix movie.
Oh, really?
They bought it like months ago. Yeah, it wasn't like a fan thing. Matt G sends a unicorn. Thank you very much, Matt G. Oh, I haven't seen the new Sonic the Hedgehog yet, folks. I do plan on watching it one day. Just gotta rent it. That's a movie I refuse to watch on a boat ride anywhere. I gotta watch it legit. I feel like because the fact that they listened to the fans and fixed the design and did all the right things. I feel like it's it's a movie I want to pay for. So it's kind of a light day for news, so I think I might close this one out a little early. Folks, if you have any questions, ask me really quickly before we go. Like I said, I'll be back live streaming next on probably Wednesday for the what I really should do is I should just wait until Thursdays, Super High Council, and really make it a super duper show. Make people, super excited and make them wait.
You can do that.
I might. I'm not going to let you know, folks, until I'll make the announcement publicly. But you can find out more this Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 Pacific. That puts us at 4 in the UK and other parts of the world. I don't know what time that would be. But the point is, we're going to be having the biggest High Council. It's the international edition. So it, again, will be Mahler, Andre from Midnight's Edge After Dark, Critical Drinker, and AZ Heel versus Babyface. So it's a great wrestling name. So that is going to be the most epic Fandom Menace stream ever so far. I saw the Simpsons movie. I know how these things work so far. But you guys aren't going to want to miss out on that one. It's going to be a lot of fun. And just make sure you don't miss it. Why am I getting calls from random people like this in the middle of the street?
I don't know. I got a message from the other day.
Yeah. So, folks, I'm going to head out of here. I'm going to get back to working on some stuff I got. Let me share the link to Jessie's stream. She's going to be... if you
want more Jeff, you will catch him.
Yeah, I'll be on there. We're going to be playing Cards Against Humanity. It's going to be a 50-person game. First to 2 is going to win because it's going to be ridiculous trying to play with 50 people.
We're going to see if we can even get through enough rounds to get a winner. But if it goes to hell, we can scale it down and play a more reasonably sized game.
I don't believe in anything reasonably sized on this channel. So, folks, that'll be live in about 20 minutes. So you can catch us over there. The High Council sounds kind of stoned. It was Ethan's idea for a name. So you can always ask him if that was the inspiration. But if you want to get involved with the 50-person Cards Against Humanity, you can play. You can watch. You can be involved. Let's see. There we go. Send in the link. Boom. There you guys go. Oh, Alpha Terranima's here. What's up? Long time no see. So, folks, I'm going to head out of here. I'll be back later with more. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Check out all of our newest videos. We have a couple coming out this week, a couple of big things planned, and we'll be making more announcements each and every week. So from all of us here in the Fandom Menace, thank you. And as always, folks, be excellent to each other.